Good afternoon, everyone. Here's another quickie edition of the Wandanuki Cheese Cafe. I'm coming to you live from my backyard, right by my dryer vent. This is the same one I had when I first moved in. It looks like it's all bent, beat up, and out of shape, and the caulking's kind of got hard and deteriorating. I tried to recaulk it last year so that it wouldn't have any gaps and I'd be able to maybe save money on electricity, but I guess now is the time to kind of change this thing. This is an easily neglected component of the house, but it's an easy fix normally. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to walk you through the steps one by one, how to replace this thing yourself. So here we go. Okay, let's get the work gloves on. First thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to scrape off all the old caulking so that I got nothing else to hold it back. Now, what I'm using over here is actually a pretty handy tool. This is something I learned about earlier this year. It's a 6-in-1 tool. So what you have is this round piece that you can use to scrape to clean off paint rolls. You got this scraper here for old screws. Scraper over here if you want to scrape paint or drywall compound. This for like making notches, and even this part actually has a good use for it. And I might show that in the video because up until this year, I never thought the handle would have done a thing. Live and learn. So let's get started and get the old caulking off. And depending on how old this is, there's always a chance it's going to be really caked in. So this is going to take some work. Toughest part is the underside of this thing. If nothing else, you're going to stretch your body, and you'll feel like you're more of a contortionist than you gave yourself credit for. That didn't do much of a trick on the top, so I'm going to have to cheat. And I'm going to have to use an edge of my Olfa knife to get this slice. Okay, caulking's off. Let's get this pulled. Well, that didn't go according to plan. Well, this thing is in pretty deep. There. Ew. So yeah, this is the reason it should be changed and possibly cleaned off. Because look at this. You got dust all around the outside of this as opposed to inside. That really should not be. Quite a bit of caulking that was just put here, but above all else too, it seemed like that around the perimeter a lot of dryer lint had gathered up. Just remember people, this has to be cleaned out every, I would say 6 months, because otherwise you're just going to have a problem waiting to happen. Well, at least this old one is out, but I'm going to get a new one in, and I'm going to make sure it's secured properly too. Okay, this would be a good time to say that before you actually start yanking out your dryer duct vent, always make sure it's detached from the actual duct inside, because then it's not going to pull out as easily over here, which I had done. It's kind of dirty, and I can't tell if I got lint that had been flying all over the place, or if it's just the fiberglass that's insulating the inside of my house. All I'm going to do is I'll just get some of the debris out of here so I got a bit more clearance to work with. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace it with a brand new one. This one's made of plastic, and it has something that the other one didn't have for reasons unknown. A little net or a mesh. This is going to allow the dirt and the lint to gather up here so I can clean it off instead of letting it spread everywhere, and also keep birds from wanting to fly into this bloody thing. First, let's do a quick fit. If you want to make sure this thing goes in, this one is going to be solid. Before we do that though, there are a few things we have to take care of. So what you're probably seeing me do now is I'm taking some aluminum foil duct tape and I'm actually going to be cutting this right here. The reason for that is very simple. With a lot of ducting, and this also applies to ducting when you're doing it in your own house, if you're working with that, what they do is that they take this regular piece of metal, fold it around, and then have it clamped together. Of course, the downside is that if you're going to have some air potentially escaping through these cracks over here. That's part of the reason I'm sealing this up with the tape, so that I don't lose any air going into the house. Not to mention that, if it's a big crack that opens up, then I'm going to risk getting lint go into the walls, and I really don't want to have that happen. So, I'm just going to peel this off. There. Here. pulled off a little bit more than I need, but that's fine. Better to have more than not enough. I actually prefer using this instead of regular duct tape, because unlike regular duct tape, this can fold over every little curve and crevice, so you're going to get a tighter seal than the other one. And now I'm going to do one more touch. Scoring this thing once more. What I'm going to do is tape around the edge of where the duct meets the vent. Easy sealing too. I want to make sure that all the air that flows, once again, goes out of the vent, not everywhere else. Little details like that. This takes like maybe a few extra minutes, but it pays off. Just like that. And if you don't have any foil duct tape, you have that red tuck tape that they use for sheathing, that'll also work. Those things are also designed for extreme temperatures, hot and cold, etc. Alright, so I know this is fitting in. Now, if this was me years ago, if I was changing this at my mom's house or before, I probably would have just taken this thing, shoved it in, and then let that be it. But obviously you're not going to have any support with this because it could actually move around like this. So to do that, just remember that most of these are going to have 4 holes over here that could screw into your wall. So what I'm going to be doing first is I'm going to have to drill into that brick siding. But to do that, it's going to be hammer time. And yes, I've already prepared for this. I got myself a pack of concrete screws, which are good for brick, cement, whatnot. And if you're going to be doing this, do the smart thing. Get one that actually comes with the drill bit already in here. Because then that way, you don't have to go hunting around for a drill bit. That's... fuck. It's under the deck. But what I wanted to say is, you don't want to go hunting for a drill bit that's going to be the right size for these screws. Well, some of them, they come with the bit. Use that, and then you just have to screw in the screw. God dang it. Secured, and I found it. So here's what I'm going to do. Shove this in the hole here, then start drilling. May not be obvious to you, what I'm looking at is the dust from the brick that's actually attached to the head of the drill bit, because with that, this will give me an idea how deep I need to drill this over like this. So something like this will be enough, because then most is going to be eating into the brick. Now, if you're not sure about that, you can always just make a mark on your drill bit, and then they'll let you know the depth of it. So I got 1 down, and 3 more to go. There we go. All holes are drilled, and of course, you can screw it in, but you're also going to need to worry about sealing this up for air and for moisture. So to do that, I've got my trusty caulking gun that I'm going to be using for it. Bit of silicone. Great thing about this is that you don't have to let it look perfect, because this is like a door or window where you want it to be a very clean cut. What you're worried about here is getting the protection. So I think I'm going to have to do some work on this one first. I think I'm going to apply a layer onto the bottom before anything. Reason being, just because it's so close to the bottom of my deck, I'm not going to be able to get all the way to the bottom personally. This will make it a little bit easier, and then if I have to, I'll fill it up afterwards. As once it wants to come out, because I haven't used this in a little while. First, let's do a test. Maybe I need to get another hole in here. Just play with it a bit. Yes, play with your caulking, everyone. That's always a fun thing to do. Yep, it dried up. How lovely. Okay, that's not gonna work. I might need a bigger hole, because I'm only using it for this now. Let's see how this goes. Alright, it's got a little bit more maneuverability. If you're wondering what I'm doing, it's because I do have a bit of a gap in between where the mortar and the brick is, so that's going to be a gap that needs to be sealed up without question. And again, I don't want this to be too perfect, I just want it to be sealed. man. Yeah, this is gonna take a little while. Okay, so in my struggle to do this, I finally got it open, and what seems to happen with these tubes is that if there's so much pressure when you're pushing with these caulking guns, and you finally do get rid of the dry stuff that's already in here, it does start to explode. Luckily, I was able to make it a controlled explosion, so all the gaps I have right here in between my brick have been filled up. Same thing with this one, so that's going to be giving me a proper seal the way that it should be. So let's try to do this for real now. And again, you don't have to worry about this being perfect, you just want this to be sealed up. That. So now the underside is done, I'm gonna get this pushed in. There, like this. And then next thing I'm gonna do is the perimeter of each one. And once again, any of these gaps here, I'm just gonna fill up as much as possible. Screw number one. And luckily these things could go with either a Robinson head or even a Phillips head, depending on your preference and how much you like to torture yourself. Getting too late for this. Alright, and it's in securely now. And pardon the awkward pose, but depending on how you work in, if you're a plumber or contractor, it comes with the territory. So yeah, this thing is secured into the brick, it's caulked up now. If you're working with windows, and if you're working with doors, with silicone, you probably have to tool this thing. Tooling means just take your finger or take some kind of an edge, rub it around so you get a clean finish. But again, clean finish is not a priority for a dryer vent. You just want air sealing. So I'm just going to give it one more inspection to make sure it's done. And once it's well and good, I'll be able to dump all the rest of this crap and, yeah, vacuum up over here. This is what the shop vac is for. So thanks for watching this quick edition of the Wanayuki Cheese Cafe, Handyman's Corner, and the Awkward Pose edition. So if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button below, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, give me a suggestion for a future video, and maybe, if there are any artists out there, feel free to draw me, because I'm ready to pose for the camera. Bye, everyone.